Yokoso konbanwa. Welcome. Watashi wa Sensei Nakiba desu. Welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Nakiba, and thank you for joining Becoming Unbound with Dr. Nakiba Star. So if you've been watching my channel, you've noticed like I've done a shift in being more than just Freedom Fridays. I've just been talking about what it means to live life unbound. So the last video I recorded, I talked about just being unbound in terms of being the strong one. And sometimes it can be hard being the strong one. So guess what? This past week I was tested. I'm not going to say beyond my limits, but I was just tested with the theory of living a life, being the strong one, what happens when things come up. So this past week, I had several different types of bad news that came up for me. One of the things that happened, just losing people that we were once close before, and like being cut off. And I'm pretty sure those of you who are watching have lost someone or possibly lost someone in some shape, form, or fashion. And so the way that I found out, it was like in the middle of me doing something for myself, taking care of myself. And then when I got the news just kind of stopped me in my tracks, because I had already said some of the things that I wasn't going to do anymore. And so this news required me to test myself in terms of what's really important to me, in terms of how I show up for me and how I show up for others. And so in the midst of that, dealing with the grief, dealing with coordinating with people that we really haven't spoken to in years, and just getting us together just to work out like how we're going to do this to honor this person's legacy, their family legacy, and just being able to feel good about ourselves collectively. In the midst of that, I'm working a full-time job. I'm a full-time mom. And if some of you don't know, I have a spouse that I'm working with on multiple things, right? And so what it's been doing is just been giving me an opportunity to really balance things out. So I'm working on like testing a product out that I intend to introduce within the next month or so, just so other people can test it out on what it means to become unbound. But for me specifically, one of the things that for me that's going on is I'm living this life. Like the life is not something that that was created out of nowhere. It was conceived based off how I live my life, how I show up for myself and how I show up for others. So this week I was really tested on like what it means to be the strong one, and still being able to execute. And I'm saying it's so preacherly like, or so standard, like execute. That's just the way I talk, just how to be able to live my life while things are happening around me, and how to find and make time for myself. So what I will say is, it means if you're going to show up, make the decision that you're going to show up. Also, don't be so attached to being perfect. That's been one of the things and the themes of myself, right? Is trying to be perfect, or trying to show other people that I don't make mistakes, and I just have my emotions under control all the time. And this week, I really didn't have I had my emotions under control, but I wanted to release those. And so that's a part of becoming unbound. It's like, you don't want to hold everything on the inside, because when you hold stuff on the inside, you don't give yourself an opportunity to release what's going on. And you hold on that, you carry it on, and it probably spills over to other areas and aspects of your life that sometimes you're trying to disconnect from. But what I'll say, make sure you realize that you're a whole person. Every single thing, every single person, and every single experience that you come in contact with, that creates who you are as a person as a whole. So when you start separating those different entities, make sure you're strategic, and make sure you're intentional about why you're separating them. Because sometimes in life, no matter how much you attempt to separate things that's going on, life has a tendency of making you bring those things all together, and then they're facing you, right? And so this past week, that's what was happening for me. So personally and professionally, I was faced with with myself. Like, how do I go into the attic when I don't even want to walk up the stairs? But I really need to walk up the stairs because there's things that I really get to deal with. And so this week, what that meant was showing up the way that I was, acknowledging my feelings, giving myself time to find ways to grieve, find ways to reach out to people when I needed to reach out, and then just like really just acknowledging how I felt and thinking about the purpose of it all. Like everything that we go through and everything that we do, they're all temporary. They don't last forever. And so when you know things don't last forever, you know there's a time for everything. I like to, in Ecclesiastics, I don't know the specific scripture, but I know there's a time and place for everything under the sun. There's a time to laugh, there's a time to cry, and there's a time for everything. And so for me, yes, I got to grieve, but I also got to be able to do things for people that are important to me, right? And so in doing those things, it required me to acknowledge my feelings and reach out to some people that I really needed to reach out to get the support. And in the process, like I talked to some people that gave me things to laugh about, things to reflect on. And then I just got some time to just really feel how I felt in the moment. And then it also allowed me to get the support that I'm always giving out and pouring out to other people. So for instance, some people might have thought like, hey, you need time off from work, which I possibly did. One of the things I was concerned about is, yeah, I'm going to take this time off from work and I'm going to come back and things are going to be worse at work. Because that's just what it is. My job doesn't require me to be there all the time, but I get paid to work, so that's what I do. So it was me trying to figure out what's the best way for me to balance what was going on for me. And so for me, it was like releasing the feelings. And then also, I showed up in ways that I don't generally show up. So probably was good for me in a sense was being more direct and being more protective of my peace and making sure I define what that peace looked like for me. And what that peace looked like for me was creating some boundaries where I might not have created in the past and making sure those boundaries were the boundaries that mattered to me. They honored me. And then when I look at myself in the mirror, I wanted to say like, yeah, I created those boundaries. I set them. And I'm also able to operate within the boundaries that I created. And I was able to come to a level of like feeling satisfied and feeling comfortable with myself. So being the strong one, it's just a thing that those of us that feel like we're the strong one that we do. But I just want to encourage you as you feel like you're the strong one and you're feeling like, hey, I don't want to be the strong one. You realize it's in your nature. And I feel like we're always going to be tested in being the strong one. Being the strong one doesn't mean you have to carry it all by yourself. Being the strong one doesn't mean that you get to ignore your feelings, that you get to ignore your boundaries. Being the strong one, I think, really allows us to be able to create and establish boundaries that allow us to protect the peace that we need to protect so we continue to be strong for ourselves and for others. So what I want to say this week, just encourage you. Like I said, this week, I feel like I was tested in ways that I didn't want to be tested. And it showed me how resilient that I still am. And in being resilient, it also gave me a sense of peace, knowing that I can create boundaries for myself that are realistic and reasonable and that still honors me and still honors the people around me. I don't have to over-explain. I just show up as who I am and, honor the Nakiba who I am, and people will respect that in return. And so that's what I want to share with you today. Like, don't think that just because you're like, hey, I'm tired of being the strong one, even if you feel like you're walking away from being the strong one because you want to release it, kind of redefine what being the strong one looks like for you. And then create those boundaries for yourself that allows you to be able to operate the way that you need to operate, that allows you to feel the feelings that you feel, and for you to continue to honor who you are as a person. What I don't want us to do in becoming unbound is to lose a version of yourself that you really enjoy being because you're unable to create and establish boundaries that protect your peace and keeping you intact of being who you really are. So becoming unbound is just redirecting the narrative that we created about our life and just making sure that you are free to create the version of yourself that you enjoy looking at and that you enjoy being. It's not a level of perfection. It's also just a matter of just being who you are, showing up for yourself, feeling the feelings, allowing yourself to get it out, and just continue to move forward. So this week, I want to ask you, what are some of the things that, or what is the one challenge that you might have faced this week that tested something that you felt like you believed in, like, I'm the strong person, however, I still get to show up. And how did you manage with that? All right, well, until next time, I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't, please join the channel and subscribe. What I do want you to know is that I have a beta testing that's going on for one of the products, or not even one of the products, but something that I'm working on for myself and my channel, and I want to share it with you. So if you're interested in being a beta tester, there's a link that should be in the description that you can click on and be a part of the wait list so you can test out what I have, because I do want to share with you like just the things that I've been working on for myself, and I've created just something that will hopefully help you walk through some of the challenges that you might be facing so you can move from one point to the next. So if you're interested, click the link. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.